Hello everyone, Pigzy here. So today we're going to be looking at the light tackle role for the small gang, or specifically for the Nano gang. So typically you're going to be wanting to take a tackle Interceptor. So you could take the Malediction, Stiletto, the Tyrannus, or the Crow. My personal preferences are either taking the Malediction or the Stiletto. They're the fastest of the Interceptors. I really don't like the Crow, it's got an extremely long line time. The Malediction is probably the best Interceptor because it gets the tank bonus, it gets a 4% resist, as well as being a tackle scepter. So it's going to get its 80% reduction to propulsion jamming activation cost, which is really important. It's obviously going to be bubble immune, 15% reduction to Microwarpdrive sig radius, and optimal range on your Scrambler and Disruptor. Having Interceptor 5 is a huge deal. Having extra range on your Warp and Scram is a huge deal, because you can get 30 cold, and if you heat this, if I go into simulation, you'll be getting 36k on your point, which is massive. And on your Scram, if you heat this, you get up to 13k, which is going to allow you to do try-fire scrams or scram people without being scrammed yourself. And the sig reduction is huge for not getting hit and mitigating lots of DPS. It also makes you a little bit harder to lock. So let's just go through my Malediction fit. On all Interceptors you must have these. You want to have a Microwarpdrive, Warp Disruptor, and Scram. Almost always have Tech 2, if not Faction here, because the range is really important. I like having the Cold Gas Enduring because that's going to help me keep my cap up, keep my cap stable. If you're not going for a cold gas, I would go for the quad lift for extra sig reduction, but that's not going to be cap stable, so you won't be able to hold on to targets as long. It's Tech 1, so you can repair this very, very quickly. In the lows, damage control for tank, Nanofiber and Overdrive Injector. This is for extra speed and agility. This is so important for Interceptors, it's just going to allow you to catch things faster. Don't worry about your DPS. And then we've got the small Ancillary Repper just to top ourselves up and tank a bit harder. I've got a small Ionic field projector. You can go Tech 2 here if you want to spend a little bit more. This is going to give me extra lock range. So if I come on grid with the target that I need to kill and I burn straight at it, if I didn't have this, my lock range would be down to about 35k or something like that. That means if I start locking, or maybe about 40k, if I start locking at 40k while I'm burning in, at overheated Microwarpdrive speed, I'm going almost 7k here. If I had max skills, I could probably break 7k. By the time you've locked the target up, you're well within your 36k heated point range. So you need this so you can lock things faster to get that tackle that you might not otherwise get. And then I've got the small Hyperspatial here. Again, you can Tech 2 this if you want. This is just going to allow you to walk around faster, catch targets faster, and it also allows you to catch up to other small targets that you might be chasing. And then on the highs, I go with rockets. You can go with light missiles here, or perhaps a NOS. If you went with a NOS, that is good if you're going in against something that you need to scram and hold down for a while, but it doesn't have a web, and then the NOS is going to keep you up with enough cap to keep your repper going. But personally, I prefer the rockets. The rockets help you frag off light drones. So say you're tackling something like a Vexor Navy issue in Haven, and it puts a set of acolytes on you. You can use your rockets to kill those a lot faster than you could use missiles. But if you do have missiles, it lets you apply a little bit of extra damage to a target. The other option I like is the Stiletto. It's basically the same thing as the Malediction, except, you're missing a low slot, gaining a mid slot. So I just have a small Ancillary shield booster instead of the Repper, the armor Repper. Again, AutoCannons for fragging up drones. Everything else is the same. I think the resist profiles are what really makes the difference between the two ships. In the shields, you've got very low EM and thermal, and that's a big issue, but the Malediction has pretty good resist across the board, especially in the south, where Ratters are going to be doing EM and thermal damage to kill Sancho. It's a terrible idea to be using EM and thermal resist against them. That's going to stop you being able to tackle them for as long if they put up a set of acolytes on you. So your role is light tackle. is to scout things, so you should always be +1 ahead of your teammates. I'm not going to go into lots of detail about scouting. I could do a whole video on itself. And then, of course, tackling. You only want to tackle somebody who doesn't want to fight. There's no point pointing somebody if they already want to fight you, because they're keeping themselves on field. Don't go crazy scramming everything either, especially in the Nano game, because the rest of your fleet members are going to be very fast and can catch most targets without them being scrammed. You should never die in the ship unless you go in for a scram. That's when things get dangerous. If the ship has a web, you can immediately just get webbed, scrammed yourself, and then killed off, which is a kind of expensive loss in these ships. It says only about 34 mil, but in reality, they're closer to 50. So holding point is much more important than scramming. If you do need to go for a scram, try and do a drive-by scram. So the way you want to do this is overheat your Microwarpdrive, overheat your scram, burn not directly at the target, but you want to pass them at the edge of your scram range. So 13k, just click the scram once to shut off a Microwarpdrive or Microjump drive, whatever they're doing, and then coast on past. If you screw it up a little bit, that's fine. Maybe you coast in at 8 kilometers, they scram you, it turns off your Microwarpdrive, but you're heading, away from them basically at almost 6k here. So even if you get scram web, you've got a good chance of just coasting out of that range, and then you can spam your Microwarpdrive, get it on, get out of there. It's very dangerous because you could get scrammed and killed, and your transversal is going to be terrible when you do that, so it can be quite a challenge. Some ships are safer to scram, like other kiting ships that don't have a scram themselves, or missile ships where your transversal doesn't really matter all that much. The other thing I just want to show you guys really quickly is a quick thing about how to scan to tackle ships. I'm not going to go through a whole scanning guide because again, you could do a whole video on it itself. So I'll show you that, and then we'll jump into some examples of me using the ship in a combat scenario. Here's a little D-scan trick that's really useful for catching ratters or working out who's docked up so you can move through your space a lot faster. So you're going to want to open up your probe scanner, so you get your list of anomalies, and then click your solar system map. You don't have to click the solar system map, but I find it's easier to. So this green bubble here is going to show you where your D-scan is, so you can decrease its range, and you can see it go down. But the important thing is you want to reduce its angle, so it comes down to 5 degrees, and you just got this tube here. So if I want to scan to see who might be at a site, if I think someone, for instance, is at this hidden den, I hold down V or whatever your D-scan hotkey is, and then you just click the site. It's going to scan it. So you can see it's snapping to each of these sites here. So people are usually going to run havens. So if you can come in and just do this to havens, you can scan them really, really fast, and then you can warp after them extremely quickly. It's going to help you catch people. The other trick, which is very similar, you want to have your D-scan set up so it shows structures and things. So if I want to know if someone's on this fortizar, I do a wide scan. It's going to catch the fortizar in here, and then I can hold C or my camera tracking hotkey, click, snaps to it, 5 degrees, boom, scan the fortizar. You can also click things from the map itself, so I can click around, and if I can see something like this fortizar, bang, go check it. In this clip, I'm an Interceptor, obviously, and then I've got a couple of Caracal friends with me. There's 2 BCs here, and they're on the gate. We can't fight them on the gate because we don't have the DPS to kill them before they would de-aggress. So, because I have the least DPS, I'm just going to pull range and point the Myrmidon, so he has to make a move. He's going to have to jump the gate, and then our DPS can go through and try and kill him on the other side. The other thing that this does is force him to bring in backup, something that can clear the light tackle. So they bring in a Jackdaw, which is something that we can actually kill quite well in our Caracals. So I just keep forcing him to make a move, look up the Snosis here. Eventually they put their command bursts up, which means they're aggressive, so we start to go on them. They release drones here, so we've got hammerheads and ogres. I say that we can kite the ogres but not hammerheads, so we start moving off. We're just going to hold point on whatever's aggressing the most, and then this Jackdaw comes in. The Jackdaw should be an easier target for us to kill, because it's quite squishy and it's also off the gate. So I go after him, and just hold the point on him. I don't scram him. I probably could scram a Jackdaw, it would be safe to do so, but our Caracals are well within range anyway, so it doesn't really matter all that much. You can see that I'm orbiting him at a long range, which is going to keep my speed up really high, and even though he's red boxed on me, his missiles can't hit, which is fantastic. So we just hit on the Jackdaw and get it. Unfortunately, some of the Caracals in the fleet made a bit of a piloting mistake and got grabbed by the battle cruisers. So we didn't need to lose anyone there, but we did, but that's okay. Once the Jackdaw's down, since I'm in a safe position, I wait until everyone else is off field until I leave, because as an Interceptor I could possibly help my teammates by scramming them. Everyone else is off the field, so I peace out. So in this clip, me and a few friends have been roaming Pandemic Horde space. We've got, I think, 3 cruisers, me in a tackle, and then we've got a carries for damps as well. We've stirred up quite the hornet's nest of horde players here. We're just trying to tackle things in the gate to see if anything will aggress us. I try and burn in kind of close to maybe bait some aggression, you know, burning away, that kind of thing. This Gamma comes in, and he's like looking probably to kill either me or the carries. I kind of wait for him to get a little bit closer and use my prop mod off, and then when he starts getting kind of close and his speed increases, I overheat, go straight at him. Transversal doesn't matter on this ship because he's a light missile. And then I get that point on him, and our cruisers can just destroy him very quickly from there. Down he goes. So then we're going to go back on the gate here to keep harassing people as they come through. I think they're trying to sort of consolidate their force and get their crew together. So this Dominix comes through. We've been going after this Dominix for quite a while. He MJDs and lands on top of one of our cruisers. It's pretty well done. He gets a scram on him. Thankfully, we've got Omen navies that we brought along some ECM drones, and we managed to ECM him out so our cruiser friend who got the scram can warp off without dying. Now we've got something to hold down, so we might not be able to kill the Dominix, but we can use the Dominix to kill other people that come in. So there's this Griffin friend. He starts burning in close. Again, similar with the Gamma, this Griffin, it doesn't have any guns, so I can burn straight at him. I do miss the tackle here initially because unfortunately I'm still targeting the Dominix, but when I switch over I manage to get a point, and then because I'm much faster than him I can go up and get the scram, and then after I get the scram our cruisers can swap DPS onto the Griffin and apply very well, and he goes down pretty easily. Then from there it's just back onto this Dominix, orbiting him again at a safe range, just holding point and waiting for the next thing for us to kill. So we keep burning him down, but as you can see on the overview on the right, the Horde are starting to form quite a fleet, and they're coming down to the gate here, so it's not looking like we're going to get much more out of this. So we start thinking about leaving, and as they burn in, we call for warp outs, and we're all going to get out. I choose to warp off to this Rialto over here. It's on grid. I want to be on grid to make sure that all my friends get out safely, because if one of our Cardi cruisers gets scrammed by something light, it's a good time for me to come in and maybe scram that off them. See, Boris here is pointed, but he's fast enough he can burn out by himself, and he gets away just fine. So now we're kind of looking for a way home, a way out of a pocket. We've got a billion bubbles anchored on a gate on our only way out with a carrier on it, so it's looking pretty dire. I use the time to set up a couple of safes. Unfortunately, Boris does get scrammed or pointed on the sun, so I warp to him at 70 k's. I want a nice safe range here, and I confirm with him on comms that he's burning away from the sun, not into the sun. This ensures that I don't land in the middle of their gang. So I align in the same direction he does, and I see that he's got a Saber and a Krog coming after him. The Saber's not in range for a scram, so he's no threat, and I know Boris is faster than he is. So I go after this Krog, because he's going to be a likely candidate to have a scram. I get a point on him, and there I just get a nice drive-by scram, and double click away really fast so this Krog can't scram me, because if I get scrammed, I'm going to die to this blob as well. And that slows the crow down enough that Boris can burn out and warp away. So I managed to save his O&I there. And I'm nice and fast too, so I can warp out. So that's a nice little example of scrambling something off somebody there. We do eventually manage to get out of this pocket. It takes a bit of finagling, but we do get there. Alright, so it's going to be this video. I think the next one I'm going to do is going to be the Omen Navy issue. The ship Boris was in there. I've had a lot of success with that. So we'll be looking at another DPS ship next time. Thanks for watching.